Hi, I'm Dr. Lrand, and today we are going to be diving in. I really want to kind of focus on helping you understand how you can eliminate your ADHD symptoms with this three-step system that I've used over the years to help my patients and clients with their ADHD, or for people who are struggling with focus issues. So really the promise that I am going to give to you is that you will discover the three-step system that will calm your ADHD brain, control your scattered thinking, and optimize your mental game in as little as 2 weeks without using hacking tricks, brain training games, or any other kind of stimulant. So you're definitely going to want to stick to the end, because if you want to be more productive and just more successful and achieve everything in the aspect of your life, from work to your life to your relationships, to actually improving on your relationships, and just to be more present and having more of that fulfillment of life, you're definitely going to want to listen to this to be able to really get in depth of what you need to achieve that optimal focus mind that you're seeking for. So definitely want to stay till the end, because I'll also dive in deeper of how you can actually achieve this with working with us more directly. So definitely want to stick around. So if I want to first start asking a question. Can you relate? Have you ever been where there's times that you just feel overwhelmed, or like your life is just out of control, or you just fear that you might lose your job if you just can't concentrate or focus better, or that you are absolutely absent-minded and you can't focus through the day, and that your relationships are faltering because you are just scatterbrained? Let me know, because if that is you, I'm here to tell you it's not your fault. It's definitely not your fault, because it really comes down to the real problem is that your ADHD or your focus issue is really a body chemistry problem that's unique to each person. So the common approach don't really work for many people. And not only that, it's really these approaches are often this that makes the symptoms even worse for your ADHD or your focus issues. And so here's why I say that is because the common options that are offered to people with ADHD is really through prescription medications, stimulant medications that are always constantly the push for helping with our ADHD or other mental health issues. And there's definitely been a rise of a pushing of medications. In fact, you can see from this graph, even just the US alone, of over time of more and more stimulant medication being prescribed, but yet we're seeing still all these problems with ADHD and focus issues. And it's not really, seems like it's really solving the problem very well. And so if that doesn't work, then usually your doctor might push for non-stimulant medications, whether that might be antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, or whatever non-stimulant medication they might give you, because maybe the stimulant medication didn't work. Or on top of that, because really what's happening here is your doctor might be really just guessing, kind of using you as a lab rat to be like, okay, if that didn't work, let's try this. Let's try this. I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to have to feel like that I'm a lab rat when it comes to my own mental health and actually achieving that optimal focused mind and having that optimal health. So the other alternative that a lot of people will go to, if they don't do that, they'll look at non-prescription solutions, whether that might with coffee or caffeinated tea or soda or energy drinks or sugary snacks or any kind of stimulant you can get your hands on. You might have had to go that route, but it still doesn't get you to where you want to be. And so remember, like I was saying in the beginning, is that ADHD is a body chemistry problem that's unique to each person. So I really want you to think about this throughout this training to help you reset your mind about when it comes to your ADHD or your focus issues. And so the wrong approach causes more problems. So when we focus on more stimulant medications or even just any kind of stimulants that we have to get our hands on, it causes this chain reaction of causing more problems down the road, where it will reach to where our brain slows down. It's not working as well. So we have to increase our stimulant. We have to increase our dosages of our medications. And we reach a complete mental and physical burnout. Especially adults with ADHD, which we do specialize working with, is when you are an adult, you reach that complete burnout state. And you find that your stimulant medication isn't working for you, and also drinking several cups of coffee a day is not working for you like it used to, and you reach this physical and mental burnout. The good news is, though, I figured out a simple way to solve this problem, and I'll walk you through it in this training. So this is the key to your success. There's a 3-step system that I'm going to break down and show you how I help my patients and clients go from a scattered brain completely to an optimal focused mind with their ADHD. Or half of our patients don't even have ADHD, they're not diagnosed, and so they also have focus issues, so we help them achieve that optimal focus mind. So with this, you will definitely retrain your brain to focus in a way that fits your unique biochemistry. And with this, you will definitely be in control of your ADHD symptoms so that you can enjoy a clearer thinking and be more productive and become the best version of yourself. So if you want to have more of that life that you want and have more of that fulfillment of life, having those better relationships, having more success within your work environment and the ones that you do love, then this is definitely for you. And so the best part is that you don't have to overhaul your life. You don't have to use any kind of time management or productivity hacks. You don't have to spend time in therapy like many of you guys have been doing, trying to figuring that out. And so, and the only reason I can really share this with you is because I've been through this, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the experiences, because just like you, I have ADHD and dyslexia. So I want to just introduce myself. If this is new, first time you're coming into our world, welcome. My name is Dr. Lrand Peterson, and I'm best known for helping people with adults with ADHD gain control of focus and productivity so that they can live the life on their own terms. And, I went to Bastyr University, which is a naturopathic medical school. Before that, I went to BYU, did my undergrad there, and did a specialization and rotations around in ADHD and focus on ADHD health. So even though I'm now a sought after expert in this area, I want to let you know that things certainly weren't always this way. So let me show you what I mean. So as a kid, like I said, I have ADHD and dyslexia. Growing up as a kid, I struggled a lot, especially in the academic world. I got into trouble a lot. I felt like I was different, like I was an outcast, someone that it was hard to build friendships initially. And I felt like there was always something wrong with me. And then also, I just didn't feel like I was smart. I felt like I was completely dumb because it was so embarrassing that even my younger siblings knew how to read before I could. It wasn't until like I was almost 9 years old before I could learn how to just start reading and writing. And I felt like there was something just completely wrong with me. And so when it came to studying, it was definitely a huge challenge throughout all my years in academics until I got into college when I officially actually got diagnosed. And when I got diagnosed with ADHD, I was put on a prescription medication like just many of you have, but I could focus better. But the problem is I lost my personality. I didn't feel like I was myself. I felt like I was a zombie. I didn't really like the side effects. So I knew there had to be a better solution than the medication. And this kind of led me on my journey to find a more natural approach to my ADHD and my focus issues and my lack of motivation and drive. And so I started this journey. And then when I got myself into medical school, but I was still having a lot of the different challenges. And so I had to reach out, seeking out other holistic mind doctors to understand why couldn't I focus very well? And I was having challenges in medical school. And it got to a point I was getting really concerned for my final medical boards, because I was married. I had my first child on the way, and my wife had to quit her job because she was getting ready to have our child. And as well, I had to be the sole provider. And so I had to make sure I passed those boards so that I could provide for my family. And so I sought off so many different holistic minded doctors that can help me understand the imbalances of my body chemistry. And that was the thing that I didn't realize, is that there were so many different lab testing that was done that surprised me of all the imbalances in my body chemistry for my brain, my digestive health, throughout my body chemistry, to see all these different imbalances that were never addressed for me when it came to my ADHD. But they pinpointed these things that were missing. And once I implemented those things in my treatment, I was able to study very effectively, and my focus and clarity of mind improved significantly, drastically. My anxiety became non-existent. My energy improved drastically. My focus, motivation, and drive, all those things improved because I started changing things in my biochemistry, because I had holistic mind doctors that understood the importance of this. And was the big pivotal point for me. And in fact, I remember when I was studying for my boards that I had this experience where all of a sudden everything just started to flow. I was able to focus for many hours, and everything, I was able to just process things better. I was able to retain information better. And this made a drastic improvement. I remember bringing this up to my doctor, and I remember this thing that they said, what he told me. He's like, most ADHD symptoms are caused by hidden imbalances that can be healed naturally, and fix the imbalances and the symptoms improve or go away completely. And this was like a big light bulb moment for me to realize, okay, I've been going about my ADHD all wrong, and everybody else in the industry, I feel like I have as well. They've been trying to just fix it with medication when we really need to look at the whole body chemistry to see what is out of balance here. And when I did that for myself, I was able to improve my ADHD symptoms drastically. And so I felt like, a new sense of excitement and optimism. And I felt more confident about taking my boards and what I could accomplish after them. And so I was ready and prepared to go in, and I took my boards and I was able to pass. I was super excited because that was definitely a huge stressor for me, especially being a sole provider for my family. And now I felt like I had my ADHD under control, that I could provide for my family and be the leader that I need to be and taking control of my life. And so I have been able to open up a practice and, this is my lovely family, and be able to be that provider. But now I help people all over the world with their ADHD and have turned my practice into a complete virtual practice, helping others who suffer with focus issues and ADHD issues as well. And so you and I are similar. Listen, I'm no superhero. I'm just a regular guy who went through hell and back. So if I can do this, then you most certainly can too as well. And so imagine when you can actually focus 100% on your work and your life, and to be able to have that hyper focus and to be able to concentrate throughout the day and have the energy and productivity and to be able to be present with your loved ones to have that fulfillment of life. And so now you know that ADHD and ADHD symptoms are caused by unique problems with your body chemistry. And so the key to your success is this 3-step process I'm going to break down right now. So I've made 3 different discoveries and steps that you need to know about your ADHD if you want to control your symptoms and optimize your brain performance. And so it's called the Focus Mind Formula. And the very first discovery that I found is that fixing your symptoms starts with fixing your imbalances in your body chemistry. And so think about it this way. You've probably done lots of coaching. You've done lots of therapy. You probably watched lots of different YouTube videos. You've done lots of different brain hacks and apps and any kind of thing that you can do to be more productive and more focused. The problem is, if your brain and your biochemistry is not optimized and it's out of balance, it's going to work like dial-up internet. So if you remember the days of dial-up internet, if you're too young to remember, look it up. But dial-up internet was so slow that it would take forever for those pages to load up. So it's just like how your brain is right now. We haven't found the imbalances. So adding all this productivity and therapy and coaching isn't going to be very productive if you haven't changed the biochemistry first. It is so important to change the biochemistry first, because when you actually identify what is out of balance in your body chemistry and your brain chemistry, then you know what to fix. And when you can fix it, guess what? Your brain and your body chemistry is working at its most peak performance. It's like working like fast speed internet, and that way you can be more productive, focused, and efficient throughout the day. So who wouldn't want that? I mean, I most certainly do. And my patients and clients have been able to achieve those things. And so when it comes to chemistry, there's lots of different things that we can look at. This is just some examples of different neurotransmitter processes and pathways that could be out of balance that we need to address and look at. And so I want to give an example here. So I had a patient, Jen was her name, and she was taking ADHD medications. She was exhausted and unfocused. She couldn't keep up with her work on her demands, so her boss was getting on her case, and she was starting to have marital problems. And so this became a big issue. So when we started to look at some labs and look at more in depth, these are the things that I found. First off, I was looking at her cortisol. So you could see here, her cortisol levels were significantly low throughout the entire day. So this explains a lot of why she felt like she had low energy. She couldn't focus throughout the day. Her mood was way off, but that's not where it stops there. So we had to actually really help improve her cortisol and with more adrenal support. But on top of that, her hormones were way off. Her progesterone levels were low. That could definitely contribute a lot to your mood and mood swings and mood changes, and that can impact your focus throughout the day as well. And then when we looked at more in depth of the amino acids and different neurotransmitters that are off, even though she was taking the medication, her dopamine levels were still low. But on top of that, her tyrosine levels, which help actually build dopamine, were significantly low as well. And even though she was taking the medications, these things we had to also improve and address to make those big differences. And then on top of that, things like her norepinephrine and epinephrine and serotonin. No wonder she was feeling more depressed. Mood was low. She couldn't handle stress very well because these levels were lower and weren't being addressed with her medication very well. And so after implementing and actually addressing the root cause of her imbalances in her body chemistry, within just 2 weeks' time, once I implemented the right things that we need to adjust, She had more energy and focus, a happier mood. Her boss noticed a huge difference within her work ethic. And so she didn't have to worry about getting fired. And then she was able to come off her medication and she was able to save her marriage because her spouse was happy that she remembered to do things. She was more present and actually enjoyable to be around with because her mood wasn't all over the place. And so this was a huge win just within 2 weeks' time of implementing her treatment. And so the focus mind formula, the very first step that you guys need to understand that's so important is discover the imbalances in your body chemistry. Like that is definitely step number one. So hopefully you guys understand that. So the next discovery that I really came across is that dopamine is don't blame dopamine. Dopamine is not always the problem when it comes to ADHD or your focus issues. It isn't. In fact, dopamine, yes, it's a neurotransmitter. It helps with mental focus and clarity. It gives us motivation and drive. Like those are all great. But like I was showing you before, there is several other different things to focus on that are even just within the dopamine pathway that could be out of balance that we need to address. Because if those aren't addressed, then you're still going to have the same issues. So, when it comes to, doctors usually will focus on medications, stimulant medications to directly target dopamine and norepinephrine. And the problem with that is that low dopamine, in my experience, is about less than half of the real problem for people who have focus or ADHD issues. And not only that, stimulants and medications that they can actually raise dopamine and can make the problem even worse. Just like, some of the examples I'm going to show here soon. And so let me explain why that is. So if you've never been told this about your medication, you have the sending neuron and you have the receiving neuron. So the theory about the ADHD medication is there is the blocker. So when you take the medication, it blocks the pathway, the transporting pathway right here, the dopamine transporter. And what this does, it tells the sending neuron like, hey, slow down. We don't need to make as much dopamine. Like that's what it's naturally supposed to do. It's this constant communication feedback loops that tell us that. But when you add the medication, it blocks that pathway. That's what it does. And so when that happens, it's just going to constantly dump dopamine, right? And so that way you can increase your dopamine levels. The problem with this, though, is over time, your body will naturally start not producing as much. And that's why you have to find that you increase your dosages over time, be a little bit more numb. And that can be an issue in the long-term game when you're doing the medication route. So you end up running on more empty and you need to just increase your dosages or you have to change the medication. So that becomes a problem. So if you have low dopamine and take stimulants, it may help initially, but eventually it won't work as well over time. And if you didn't have a dopamine problem to begin with, it's very likely you'll develop one over time. And so like I was telling you before, just in this research, they have found that 80% capacity after taking the medication, instead of over 6 months of use of ADHD medication, it would only be at 80% capacity. So about 20% decrease of the body naturally actually producing the dopamine. So that in itself can be kind of concerning. So the other thing also to consider is if we were using alternative stimulants, so caffeine being one. Now, it's okay to have some stimulants, but when you do a high dose, they've noticed even with caffeine, your cortisol output decreases over time and you reach this complete burnout. So when it comes to the brain and your adrenals and other parts of the body chemistry, like stimulants are okay in moderation. But when you overdo it, you think of it like a sponge. It's squeezing everything your body that you're asking the body to produce, whether that's cortisol, hormones, different neurotransmitters, you're squeezing and asking, but it's not giving anything to the body. So we have to look at this differently when it comes to actually helping improving your symptoms with your ADHD or your focus issues. Okay. So let me tell you a story. Another patient of mine, Mike. So when I met Mike, he was also taking ADHD medications, but they were not working at all. In fact, he was losing energy and focus. He had a job that, he wasn't performing very well. And he was very stressed, very anxious guy. His sleep was absolutely terrible. And he was on the edge. And when I ran his test and looked at everything, I was very surprised. Really, I was actually not really surprised when it came to really what I saw, when it came to his results. And it really helped me understand why he was on the wrong medication for his imbalances. And the very first thing was this right here. So if you remember, I said phenylethylamine is the very beginning of the dopamine pathway. And when I see this low, it's never really addressed, but it should, because it's so common amongst people with ADHD when we see this. But the other thing here is his dopamine levels were high. His serotonin levels were high. His GABA levels were high. Like, that in itself can be concerning, especially when you're taking a medication that increases dopamine. You know what the symptoms are when you have too high levels of dopamine? You feel agitated, irritated, high anxious. You could have high blood pressure. You could have high heart palpitations. And that's what this person was experiencing. He was on the wrong medication. It was making his symptoms worse. And this is why he couldn't focus more. So seeing this, we had to make some drastic changes, helping lowering these levels into a more healthier balance in the more green zone. But that didn't stop there. I also wanted to see other things. There was his cortisol spiked in the middle of the day. And so we had to use some other additional herbs, things like ashwagandha, some other things to help lower his cortisol, because this definitely impacted his focus and his stress levels drastically. And when we were able to address that, that made huge changes. But there was a few other things that were also missing here. His B vitamin levels and vitamin D levels and vitamin K1 and K2 levels were low. This also really does impact someone's energy drastically, because a lot of these are important for the neurotransmitter pathway to make them work, but also for other things in order to have great energy and focus throughout the day. So when we made all these adjustments, just in 1 month's time, his mood and energy improved significantly. His sleep finally drastically improved. He was able to get better sleep. And then he got through his tasks at work, and his boss definitely noticed a huge difference. And he didn't feel anxious anymore all the time. He actually was a totally different person. He felt more chilled, relaxed, and he was able to stop his ADHD medication because obviously he was not on the right ones. And that was a big win for him. So the next thing to really on this whole step process, we talked about discovering the imbalances. Now it's about restoring. Once we've identified what are the imbalances, how do we restore what has been out of balance to bring your biochemistry back to balance? When we can do that, guess what? The body can heal itself and can heal the brain, and you could have that optimal focus mind, right? Now, the third one. So discovery number 3 is when you know your unique imbalances, you can easily fix them without medication. So your symptoms could be a digestive imbalance. That's a huge one. The gut and brain connection, it's huge. When your gut is not working properly, guess what? It can't feed the organs, can't feed the rest of the brain, it can't feed a lot of things, because the digestive system is where it really kind of starts. And so when we see digestive imbalances, the bacteria in our gut can really alter our neurotransmitters. We've seen this from research. In fact, 90 to 95% of a lot of different neurotransmitters are made in the gut. And when it comes to dopamine, about 50% or more, of the dopamine is actually produced in the gut. That's huge, right? If we don't address the gut and it's not working optimally, the brain's not going to work optimally. But it also could be a nutritional imbalance as well, where you're getting your symptoms, just like we've shown in some of these cases. So definitely nutrition is going to be a big part, because supplements only can take you one part of the way. It's only a first initial step. It's also nutrition, lifestyle habits, and changes that are going to make those drastic improvements when you know what is actually out of balance. And so your symptoms can also be an amino acid imbalance. We've already shared a couple of those examples of that, because there's actually studies here where they showed from 67% of the participants had a 77% significant improvement when they actually changed their focus on amino acid treatment from the precursors of serotonin and dopamine. In fact, found it as just as drastic as like ADHD prescription medication. And of course, I need to do some further studies on this, but this is why I've shifted how I help people, because it makes such bigger difference without the huge side effects when it comes with medication. So let me share you another patient of mine. His name was Greg. And he owned a construction business, so he's an entrepreneur, and he struggled for years with his ADHD. He had severe digestive issues. He had decreasing energy. He started losing his memory as he was getting older. So he's an older gentleman, and he's in his like 50s, mid 50s. And his employees noticed he wasn't as focused as he used to be. And so when we ran this test, one thing I want to look at is, okay, maybe since he has some digestive issues, we found that there were some big imbalances in his gut flora. And remember, I told you the gut and brain connection, how important that is. So we had to implement different probiotics, prebiotics to kind of bring these back to balance so that the gut can start healing the body and also healing the brain and so forth. And then also notice that his cortisol levels were significantly low. Like, no wonder he was so tired and he couldn't function. He wasn't happy going to work, and his employees were like, "What's up with you, man? Like, what's going on?" So we had to definitely improve his cortisol levels. Supporting the adrenals was going to be it was a huge one. And then also his testosterone and DHA were low. DGA is what helped build testosterone. So we had definitely improved both of those, and that did help a lot with his energy. But then another big one, which I do see common with people who are older, like in their 40s or above, will end up having problems of actually decrease of choline. Choline has a lot to do with helping with our memory. So when we start seeing that decrease, just like this individual did, his memory started to decline over time. But he also had some other things like glutamine, which is very important for building different neurotransmitters that were deficient. And also his CoQ10 levels, which actually impact your energy drastically. So when we were able to make these adjustments, but there was one more. I forgot. So there's one huge thing. This is probably the first time I've ever seen where an individual is low on every single amino acid and different neurotransmitter pathway. When we saw this, it made complete sense of why he felt the way he did. And when we made these adjustments and implemented the right types of supplements and nutrition plan and lifestyle treatment plan, it was a 9 days difference for him. And just 2 weeks later, as soon as we started implementing all this, he had drastic improvement in his energy. His digestive problems improved drastically. His memory was more sharp again. He was back on his A game and being more productive. He felt like he was a younger self again. And then probably the most important thing is his employees noticed that he was back, and it was definitely improved drastically. And so when it comes to the 3-step process, we fix the imbalances. I discover the imbalances, and then we restore back to balance the biochemistry. And then the last piece is to revitalize your health, to look at all aspects of your health, because when it comes to ADHD and focus issues, it isn't just the brain. We have to fix all parts of the organs, all the body, the whole body, in order to have that optimal health and have the optimal focused mind. So hopefully that makes a lot more sense. And so if you want to get results just like here, Justin, he was able to have a completely different life. And he never could imagine that he could feel this good. And he was able to get rid of his depression, his anxiety, and was able to reduce his anxiety by 85%. And he was able to get off his ADHD medication. Or just like Shaheen, just in 2 weeks, he was already able to feel better in terms of his mood and attention. Or even like Christopher, he was able to get the focus and was able to have that ease without having to be on his Vyvanse, because the Vyvanse was causing issues for his hypertension. Or Scott, he was able to just feel a big difference, and that he's more calm and yet in the moment and focused, and that his mind doesn't wander anymore. Or like Jetty, he was able to, he said that this was a night and day difference, that his energy and motivation and focus throughout the day has improved drastically since working with us. Or even like Eric, same him. He said, this is a night and day difference in my life, that he's able to use the tools to be able to have more energy and focus throughout the day. Or even like Aaron, just implementing right away. I remember when we just implemented stream right away, within just a few days, he was noticed a large improvement in his focus and concentration and be able to carry through tasks. And this stuff just really works, like he said. Or like Amber, she was able to do really well with her treatment, and that she's feeling much better and more focused, and emotions are better under control. Or Shishi, she definitely was able to focus better, or got a lot of work done since starting the program and having more energy throughout the day. And so would you like to get the same kind of results like Jen, Mike, Greg, and many of our other clients have? Would you like that? Let me know. Because doing this alone, it isn't easy. Because here's why I say that. You need help to find the source of your imbalances in your biochemistry. That is, I hope that you take that to heart, to understand that that's what you need to do to fixing your ADHD problem or your focus issues. And you need a customized plan of action that's going to help you execute this, so that you could bring your biochemistry back to balance. And you need someone who's going to actually hold you accountable to analyze and adjust that treatment plan so that you get the results and you have that consistency. So here's exactly how I can help you. My health experts have set aside time to speak with you personally to help you actually start getting results. And so it's called the Focus Mindset Strategy Session. And so on this Focus Mindset Strategy Session, we'll put together a specific plan for your situation to help you have better focus so that you can excel in life. And here's exactly how we'll do this together. And so first, we'll uncover what's behind your ADHD symptoms. And it's your blind spot. It's probably something that you're most likely not aware of what it is or what you've even been told. And so that's what will help you discover. Then we'll customize a plan that will get you unstuck. And then finally, we'll determine if it makes sense for us to work together more closely. So this is what you get. So for the Focus Mindset Strategy Session, this is what it includes. It's a 45-minute one-on-one personalized strategy session with one of my health experts. That's a total value of $750. You also, a bonus, you get access to our nutrition lifestyle tracking app that we use with all our patients and clients to help them track all their symptoms, their food, their sleep, their energy. This is how we track and identify the imbalances that are going on throughout their life. So that's a $300 value. And then on top of that, if you do purchase today, you get a bonus access to my ADHD health course to help you establish great habits within your ADHD to optimizing your brain. And then, so everything that's included, it's a total value of $1,647. And you get it all today for just $297. So all you have to do is click on the link, either the button below or in the description. Once you click that, you'll come to this page, you'll purchase. Once you have purchased, you'll hit, this is very important. When you purchase, make sure you book your appointment. So you'll take you to this page, you'll book your appointment, you'll pick your date and time, and then you will need to make sure to fill out the forms. So that's very important as well because we need to see that beforehand. Once you have done that, it'll take you to this landing page. Now, this is very important. Check your email. Make sure you got your confirmation email for your appointment. And also you got an email from Practice Better. That is how you download the nutrition lifestyle tracking app. That's also how you fill out the form if you didn't do that already. Also where you upload your labs in the past year, not in the past 2 years, but in the past year, just standard labs from your doctors. It isn't a requirement, but if you have them, it's good for the health expert to look over those to give us a little bit more context in your medical history. And then of course, download the app, the Zoom app, so you don't have issues with that. Make sure to block out 45 minutes to an hour. Sometimes we'll spend an hour if we need to, if you have more additional questions. Also, please show up early. We give you about a 10-minute grace period. If there's a no-show, then we have to mark it as a no-show. And the other really big thing, if you have a significant other or spouse, please keep in mind, we do require that they are there. So when you're scheduling that time, make sure that it is a time that you and your spouse or significant other can be there. The reason being is because we would like to see an outside perspective of your ADHD and your focus issues. It's always good to hear from the significant other or the spouse of what your challenges are with that. So please, we do require that they are there. So please keep that in mind when you're scheduling your time. If you need to reschedule, always reach out to us to making sure if you need to, if those times don't work, that you see on the calendar, we can always make that work. Okay, so if you are really wanting to tackle your ADHD and finally optimizing and having that optimal focus mind and get to the root cause of your ADHD problem, then this is the best natural step. So go ahead and click on that link below to book that consultation with us. And I look forward to meeting you guys in the inside. Thanks. Bye.